Welcome to the Small Business Made Simple podcast, brought to you by socialmediaandmarketing.com.au. Being in business is never easy, but it can be simple, or at least simpler. Join me, your host Jen Donovan, every week where we focus on marketing, social media, and working towards simplifying your business. You with me? Let's do this.
Gonna dream it big, 'cause someone out there listening. Everyone's got a voice to give, and it's time I heard you whistling, 'cause there's no point at all, in dreaming small.
Hey there, my fabulous listener. Welcome to episode 101 of the Small Business Made Simple podcast. Thank you, as always, for lending me your ears today. I know you have lots of choices out there, and I really do appreciate you making me one of them. If you're a first-time listener, then hey, super welcome to you. And if you're a long-time listener, then welcome back. I am, of course, the host, Jen Donovan, and it's my job via this podcast, social media, and just about everywhere else I hang out to make your business life simpler. I'm a thought leader when it comes to marketing here in Australia and a marketing strategist for small businesses. Why? Well, because I know that business can be lonely and hard and complicated, and look, it's rarely easy, but it should be simple, or at least simpler. So that's my commitment to you on the so-named Small Business Made Simple podcast. One way I can make your business life a little bit simpler is if you come and join my like-minded business owners group. It's a top Facebook group. It's not one of those Facebook groups that you go into and it's crickets. There is so many amazing small business owners in there just willing to give value and share resources and answer any of your questions. It's a truly great group, and it's a real testament to the community that I'm building, and I absolutely love it. If you're interested, just go to Facebook and search Like-Minded Business Owners, or of course you can go to the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/101. This episode is sponsored by Spend With Us, www.spendwithus.com.au, which is actually an online rural marketplace. So it's a marketplace set up specifically for rural and regional small businesses to help them sell their goods. And of course, coming into Christmas, it would be awesome if you would support a small rural business. So support a small rural business. I'm a bit muddled up with my words there. Anyway, it would be really great if you would support some rural businesses for sure. They've certainly done it tough. I know everyone's done it tough, but a lot of those rural businesses were coming off drought, headed into bushfires, and then of course straight into COVID. So yeah, really struggling, some of them, so they would love your support. So spendwithus.com.au also has corporate and bulk order gift cards. If you're in charge of sending out Christmas gifts, then that would be awesome if you would consider Spend With Us. But today we are chatting finances. Yep, money. Because let's not beat around the bush here. We all need it. We all want more of it. And it's pretty much why we're in business, is to make money. And of course, without it, we're up a particular creek in a canoe without a paddle. But finances aren't my jam. So I've actually got a special guest on today, and her name is Kerry Zarb, and she's from Zinc Solutions. Kerry is a Xero specialist. So Xero, in case you're not sure, is a financial computer program that's probably one of the most popular when it comes to small businesses or small to medium businesses needing a program to put all their financial data into. She's also a BAS agent and a bookkeeper, and she really provides support to SMEs, so small, medium enterprises, from cash flow to budget and to all the ATO compliance needs, which, of course, being in business, we need to make sure we are all over Red Rover. Basically, Kerry takes the headache out of running your small business with over 20 years experience. So whether you love finances or you don't, and admittedly, I do swing both ways over time. In fact, I almost have an accounting degree under my bag, or under my belt, I should say. And figures, when I had my retail business, was certainly my jam, and they used to light me up, but they really don't anymore. I find marketing much more fun. But we do need to have a handle on our finances, whether we like it or not. But for some, it's just all too much, which is totally fine, which is why it's lucky that we have people like Kerry in the world who are willing to take away that pain for us. And also, of course, some of us just need to outsource this stuff. Some of us, in order to stay on top of our game and to do what it is that we are specialists in or what we want to be famous for, we need to outsource the stuff that we're not so good at. And sometimes that's finances. I loved our chat about bookkeeping and how to find a bookkeeper. How do you know if they're the right bookkeeper for you, and why you need a bookkeeper as well as an accountant? So it's a really great chat with Kerry. But anyway, I won't hold you up any longer. Let's have a chat to Kerry. Look out for the gold because there's heaps of it in there for sure.
Today on the podcast, like I said, I've got Kerry from Zinc, and she's going to talk to us all about bookkeeping services, something that I know that it's really on my radar that I need. So really excited to have you on, Kerry, to come and talk to us about this really big subject for small business owners.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, no worries. So, Kerry, for my audience who perhaps doesn't know much about Kerry or Zinc Solutions, can you give us a bit of an idea of who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. I think from where everything began, and not to obviously take up too much of the show, I have been in small business for over 20 years, and I've also managed other small businesses. So one of the things that resonated with me throughout my career and working journey is that no matter what industry it was, the numbers are the same. The fundamentals of numbers are always the same. So you're looking at the revenue coming in, the expenses going out, and the profit at the end. So for me, I guess after quite a few years of managing different businesses, that was one thing that I was fully intrigued about and wanted to understand the full aspect of what the business numbers meant, as much as I'd managed them for years, but really just, investing more time in the business numbers and understanding what they were all about. So after working in businesses for around about 15 years, I decided to become a professional bookkeeper.
Yeah, okay. So that's Zinc Solutions. So how long have you been doing that for?
Zinc has been in existence for over 8 years now. So,
Yep.
yeah, it was on the back of managing those businesses, and I decided to leave full-time employment and go it alone and start my own business.
Yeah, brilliant. What a great journey. Small business owning, hey? Gotta love it.
Yeah, can't say I'll ever look back. I will never be an employee ever again.
Yeah, I think I'm unemployable, actually. I probably shouldn't put that out to the world on the podcast, but I think I'm pretty much unemployable. I like to do my own thing way too
Same.
much these days, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kerry, one of the things that you just said there, which I thought really resonated with me, being in the digital marketing space, numbers don't lie. I talk to people about, who they're attracting online, and they think it's, Mary, and then we look at the analytics and the insights, which is hard data, doesn't lie, and it turns out it's Bob. So we need to think about a strategy around that. So, and finance numbers don't lie as well. So you kind of skimmed over a couple of things that we should be looking at as small business owners, which, the ins, the outs, and the profit. What other sort of numbers should we be really looking at inside our business to, I guess, analyse the data and analyse the numbers to see how we're going?
Yeah, really good question, Jen. And I think it comes down to I've always operated in the 3/3 capacity. So you've got obviously your fixed expenses, you've got your variable expenses, and then hopefully you've got a profit at the end. So out of those thirds, obviously with your fixed costs can be things like rent. Fixed costs can also be employees if you're hiring a standard set of employees. And then you've got your variable costs. So your variable costs can come in many different forms. That could be whether it's, in a business, it could be materials, depending on the industry that you're working in. It could also be things like subscriptions that you hold. So you might have something that you've got in the subscription space for 12 months. A lot of people will actually put those down as a fixed cost, and sometimes they are, because it might be something that's not negotiable for your business, that you must have your Office 365 account and you're going to have that forever in a day. But some subscriptions come and go, so they can also hop into the variable costs. And then obviously the last third is your profit. So hopefully if your business is operating efficiently and effectively and you're achieving what you set out in your goals for your business, then hopefully that last third equals your profit. And that's the way that I like to break it down for any kind of business.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of, like I said, I live in the digital marketing space. I follow a lot of people who are in the digital marketing space as well. And there's a lot of talk about, running a 6-figure business and a 7-figure business and things like that. So the one thing that I guess really sometimes gets up my nose a little bit is people talk turnover, and turnover in no way decides whether or not your business is profitable. How do you deal with that with your clients? Do you concentrate on turnover or profit, or is there a case for both depending on what the conversation is?
Yeah, no, really case by case basis, and industry to industry, it can change quite a lot. Like I've seen clients that I've worked with that have very small margins involved in their business because it's based on a larger volume. So each business has to make that assessment for themselves based on not only the clients but the industry that they're in and what services or products that they're offering. So really it's not, in my mind, something that's set in concrete and something that we all have to live by a golden rule, and certainly it has to be assessed case by case. So yeah, it's not hard and fast is, I guess, what I'm trying to say there.
Yeah, I guess that's a really good point. Like in my social media and marketing business, I definitely concentrate on profitability and looking at those numbers. But one of my other little businesses that I have is a boutique business with very small margins, and so it's all about volume in that business, not so much margin. So that's a good point. Sometimes, I forget that different businesses need to look at different figures for sure. So you're a bookkeeper by trade, not by trade, you're a bookkeeper now running Zinc Solutions. And when do people get to the point that they need a bookkeeper? Because I know that small business owners investing in services, it can be a bit of a hurdle for people. So do you see particular signs in people's businesses where they just now need to outsource a task like this?
Yeah, another really good question, and something that's, again, so much like the previous question. It's there's no concrete rule to it. So I've got clients that are very small, not even registered for GST. I've got other clients that have just registered for GST, and then I work with multiple figure businesses that employ multiple people and are on a much larger scale. So I think when it comes down to when do I need to look for a bookkeeper, it's something that you will find in your business and in your journey that you get to this point where you just need help. And it might be that, the finances are not your strong point, or perhaps you know them quite well and you're familiar with them in your business, but you don't have time anymore for them because you want to start doing other things in your business. You want to expand your services or look into new products. So there's, again, it's such a variety of reasons why people look for a bookkeeper, and it really just comes down to when the time is right for you and when you've made that decision in your business.
So what does a bookkeeper do then?
Really good question. Well, it's an interesting one because, and I know other bookkeepers that would be just going, oh my God, right now, because we don't do, like, we do everything. We end up doing everything. So a bookkeeper, is solely brought into a business to, be across the finances and be operating potentially an accounting system and, doing all the reconciliations. Then it can actually hop into things like work cover and insurance, or perhaps even touching on some legal things like documents and contracts. And it's really, there's not really a limitation to it because we're quite exposed to all of that across multiple clients. So once you've done it for one, you obviously know how to do it for another. And yeah, it doesn't seem to have a boundary, if I'm completely honest.
So it kind of depends on the bookkeeper's skill set, I guess, then.
Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. So for anyone listening to the podcast and thinking, well, I have an accountant, why do I need a bookkeeper? What's your answer to that?
Yeah, I love that question. That's one of my favourite questions. I have so much respect for accountants, and obviously being in business, I have an accountant myself, and working with accountants and having worked in an accounting firm myself, I understand there's a massive difference between the two. So really, to explain the difference between the two is the bookkeeper can get you to the point where there's a couple of things that can happen. Firstly, you can save money on your accounting fees by having a bookkeeper. And the second thing is that the bookkeeper can often help you with the little inquiries and pick up the phone to the ATO for you and do all the little things that, again, is going to save you some money with your accountant. So I guess the utopia of a business owner is to get to the end of the financial year, book in with their accountant and sit there almost in an interview kind of fashion and be really, really happy to be going, here it all is, it's fantastic, it looks amazing, over to you. And then the accountant does their job and obviously, looks at things like their depreciation and any adjustments that need to be made within the business to get that overall end of year tax result. So having both a bookkeeper and the accountant is putting you in that prime position and that, ideal kind of situation. And not to forget that your bookkeeper's going to work with your accountant. That's really, really important. So that relationship of both of those people working with you and working for you is just like a personal dream of mine to have that in a business.
Yeah, and I guess, full disclosure, I don't actually have a bookkeeper. I have had bookkeepers in previous businesses, but I don't in this particular business. But one of my best friends who certainly has a really good bookkeeper, or several clients that have, great bookkeepers, one of the things they talk about is that their bookkeeper, they deal with data there and then, whereas accountants, it's kind of almost historical data, depending on how long it takes you to get your tax return back. If your tax return doesn't come back till November, then you're looking at figures that are already surpassed by 4 months of trade or something like that. Whereas the bookkeeper can kind of help them make strategic decisions, or at least put the figures to them there and then.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that I love about being a bookkeeper is having your finger on the pulse. So one of the things that I like to provide clients is regular profit and loss statements so that they're actually tracking their numbers. Because like you just said, Jen, if you're not doing your end of year tax and getting your result until November, how do you then make the right decisions, and how do you look back on that information that's already potentially 5 or 6 months old to then reflect on how you should make changes moving forward in your finances? So having a bookkeeper working really closely with you gives you that ability to, like I said, keep your finger on the pulse and really know what's going on in your business and be able to see, if your revenue's increasing or if it's dropping, if your expenses are going up or down, and being able to make decisions. Like, clients of mine have reached out to me and said, I want to employ someone. And I'm like, okay, great. Let's look at your figures and see where you sit. Other clients have come to me and said, okay, I think it's time to move into a professional office space. And then we'll look at the numbers and make sure that that all makes sense together before actually making that step. So it's really important. And, little things and bigger things, whether it's, buying new pieces of equipment or a vehicle or anything like that, you really need to have that, like I said, finger on the pulse on your finances to know where you're up to be able to make the decisions. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my previous bookkeeper, cash flow was something that was really important that we kept our finger in the pulse by. One of the big lessons that she taught me was, if I thought that I needed more money in August, to go for it in May when my figures were high, rather than when I was broke and desolate in August and needed more money. The banks were more likely to say yes, but I wouldn't know that unless I had a good cash flow and had a bookkeeper that was working with me to make sure that cash flow was as accurate as possible.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another thing that a lot of clients rely on as well with their bookkeepers, which is great and where they should be. It's not just about looking at the numbers that have happened. It's looking
Mm.
at that forecasting and looking forward, what does this month look like at the start of the month versus next month and the next 3 months or 6 months. And that's just so critical in any business.
And it's such a different skill also. Like, there's one thing to look at historical data and go and make strategic decisions, but it's a whole other skill to be able to forward forecast those things as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things that's happened recently is one of the things that's happened recently in the financial space, and a lot of small business owners have faced, and is JobKeeper. So since JobKeeper came into everyone's kind of forecasting, people are starting to not only report what did happen, but also report what's going to happen. And the biggest question that I saw, particularly on social media when JobKeeper was rolled out, was they're asking me what I'm going to earn next month. How do I know what I'm going to earn next month? But a lot of businesses should already know that. And yes, as much as COVID's been unpredictable, just being able to make a bit of a forecast for yourself, even if it's in the downward kind of capacity, just being able to know what's coming in the door is just, again, so critical for a business.
Yeah, that's a really great tip. And I guess that sort of leads me into a question of, post COVID, touch wood, literally, I'm touching wood, that there is a post COVID, or at least, for many businesses, they're heading into their crazy season, or what would be their crazy season. And yet business looks so different. Is there any tips or tricks that you could give a small business owner who has perhaps their business model has completely changed? Maybe they had an office and now they've been working from home, or whatever that looks like, coming out of COVID, what they should be looking at in order to make decisions? Or is it just looking at the same figures they normally would, just with a different lens?
Yeah, definitely everything's changed, and I think a lot of business owners, we're quite involved in the COVID world now, and like you say, touch wood for post COVID. But I think my biggest tip to business owners looking at their finances potentially post COVID is just to be realistic.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you're right, it's changed so much. Business has changed so much, and so many businesses have done wonderful things to pivot and make really, really tough decisions in their businesses over the last 6+ months. So it's, for me, it's about being realistic. So you've got to look at your figures now and almost have that ability to forecast what the next 6 months and the next 12 months is going to look like. And although it's good to look back and say, yes, this time last year I was doing this, but if you're not doing that anymore, don't live in the fantasy land. Don't kind of kid yourself that things will bounce back exactly the same, because no one can predict. No one's got the crystal ball on post COVID. So yeah, I think it's really quite interesting to speak, and I do speak with business owners every single day in this space, and it's really just, it's a whole new assessment. You've actually got to look at your business completely different. And personally, as much as I'm not really I don't like to emphasize on the negatives, but you've got to become realistic about your costs as well. So if your business has moved out of the office space and potentially you're thinking that you may not need that anymore, then that might be something that you need to reassess and start looking at your costs, not just your revenue. So it's really that wide lens across the entire business of what it looks like, and what we can actually do as business owners to get through these difficult times. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So if anyone listening to the podcast is kind of been tinkering on the idea of getting a bookkeeper in, maybe they have got to the stage of the overwhelm, or the figures just aren't being done and they just need some help. Bookkeepers, I suspect, are a little bit like marketers. There's one for one of us for every corner of probably every street in Australia. So how do you know that you've found the right bookkeeper for you? Because figures are very, very personal, and I know a lot of business owners who really find it hard to share financial information.
Yeah, listen, I think that's a great question, and it's really, it is such a personal space. Like, it's almost, not to kind of go too crazy here, but you're fully exposed. It's the
Yeah.
most personal area of your business is your finances, and I think any good bookkeeper out there will know this, and obviously work with you to feel comfortable. So I make a lot of business decisions myself based on my gut feeling, and I like to work with people that I like. At the end of the day, humans are, we don't have friends that we dislike, hopefully, and it's the same in business. But when you're talking about your finances, it's even more critical to actually find the right person to connect with, and someone that you shouldn't be concerned to pick up the phone and ask a question, and you should be able to reach out for help. They're really almost such a great support network to have as well. It's not just about the numbers, having that kind of personal relationship with the bookkeeper that you're working with, the same as your accountant. If you don't like your accountant, you shouldn't be going to them. If you don't like what they're telling you, as much as sometimes it's hard love and all that kind of stuff, and it is stuff that we need to be told, but you've got to distinguish between are they telling me what are they telling me this information because I need to know it and it's definitely imperative to my business, or is it just someone that just wants to kind of bash me up a little bit and give me a hard time? So it's so important to just find the right person to work with, and it's the same in everything, whether it's marketing or someone building your website, or even if it's it's same as the employees. It's all about relationships and building those relationships. But I just recommend to anyone that's looking for a bookkeeper, reach out, connect, and have those discussions, and just find the person that you want to work with.
Yeah. So I guess following them a little bit on social media, and I guess that's where, for as far as bookkeepers go, perhaps the human to human marketing comes in, that people can get a bit of a sense of who you are and what you do and who you do it for, just simply by following you on social media and listening to any videos and reading posts and things like that. But also do the old-fashioned thing and pick up the phone and actually have a conversation with these people.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I think out in the world of social media, I'm I'm a stalker. Like, I stalk people. Anyone that I'm thinking about working with in my business, I'm straight on Google and finding out all about them. And checking out their social media, having a look at their website, all that kind of stuff, because it's just too important. You're going to find great information about them, potentially on their social media. You'll get to know them more as a person as well. Hopefully their website is a reflection of them, and hopefully also on their website they've got a great arrangement of options to have a look at, such as services and things that they want to deliver to their clients. So stalk them out, and
Yeah.
really get to know them even before you pick up the phone, because I think definitely have the conversation. That's too important. Whether it's a phone meeting or a Zoom meeting, anything that is going to get you connected, and find out what they're all about, and take it from there.
Yeah, and that's a massive little lesson, I guess, for all small business owners that might say that well, my marketing is my referral marketing or my word of mouth or something like that. But digital is part of that word of mouth, that whole stalking thing. And I'm like you, terrible stalker of people that I want to work with for sure. Because I want to get to know them a little bit and know their ins and outs for sure. So big lesson for anyone listening. If I went to your website or your social media, what do I learn about you?
Yeah.
So Kerry, I guess when it comes to dealing with accounting or finances, there's a gazillion pieces of software out there that people can use. What's your recommendation? What sort of options are there out there if someone's looking to do get some new software for their finances, or even to employ a bookkeeper? Like, should they be looking at particular pieces of software that are easier for small business owners to read and run themselves, or what does that look like?
Yeah, another good question, Jen, and something that again it's again a personal decision. So for those that don't have any software, I recommend for very small business owners, so potentially those not registered for GST, to start with a spreadsheet. Just use an Excel spreadsheet to track your numbers to begin with, because depending again on the size of your business and whether you're about to experience growth or you have just experienced growth, starting with a spreadsheet is always the beginning. And I'm just an absolute Excel crazy person, so I love spreadsheets. Um, so yeah, for super small businesses, start with a spreadsheet. Unfortunately, when you work with a spreadsheet, you do have to keep your receipts, so that turns into a little bit of a shoebox. And then, of course, heading into your end of financial year, you probably do then have to take that shoebox to your accountant. But a lot of people do it different ways. They pop them in folders, use some sticky tape or a stapler and put them in a folder on pages, all that kind of stuff. So that's definitely the beginning. Moving on from that, if you do want to invest in an accounting software, I'm a massive fan of Xero. So if you go to my website, you'll see it's all about Xero. And that's a really good place to begin. Xero have starter packages. It's on a monthly subscription. So that's definitely the first step into the software land. But there's other heaps, so many softwares that are available. There's plenty of free softwares, as well as you've got your QuickBooks and your MyOb out in the world that you can explore as well. And funny enough, like one of the things that I've come across just recently was because Xero's, my go-to place, and I love Xero, but a lot of people have already got QuickBooks or they've already got MyOb, and maybe they're running older desktop versions or, new cloud options that are available as well. You've got to be comfortable. If you're already on QuickBooks and it's, doing all the things that you want it to do and you know how to operate it, stick with it. There's no need to change to another platform if you've already got something that's working, unless you're not happy. So anyone that's, working with a particular platform, or, maybe they're working with the spreadsheet and they've kind of outgrown it, then certainly look at the options that are available. But there's just so many options available these days. There's, even banks offer online invoicing, and the ATO has so many different options available for small businesses. So do a bit of research, find what works for you, and at the end of the day, if you go with a bookkeeper and an accountant, then they'll even make recommendations of what you should be using based on your business and your business needs, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I know our accountants always operated on QuickBooks or Quicken. So that was definitely, for most of probably 20, 25 years or something, that's what we used. It was only, I think, Xero who's kind of been a bit of a hero entrance into the world and has kind of stolen a lot of those clients, because certainly with QuickBooks, they just didn't move quick enough for the times, really, and Xero kind of come and got some of their market share. But another really cool one that I recommend to really micro businesses is Wave app, which is a free piece of accounting software. Just, if you're just mainly just doing invoicing and, little bits, that's a really good free piece of software. But I know you're a bit of a Xero queen because you've actually got some courses as well that people can do. So not only just doing bookkeeping, but can actually learn a little bit more about Xero from you, from doing some courses that you've got.
Yeah, definitely. And I think I guess this year's really opened my eyes for small business owners. And the reason why I actually created courses and have started offering courses is going back to, working with a bookkeeper and your accountant and having the finances so personal. A lot of people are looking for DIY options. And because I love Xero and I've worked with Xero for so long and I know it so well, I also saw a bit of a need for people to find out all the shortcuts and find out ways that they can simplify how they use their own Xero file. So for me, on the back of COVID and, trying to help those in small business, I just had this burning desire inside to make these courses to help those in small business, because there's so many little things that are in the background of Xero that people just don't know about. And I just felt like, well, these shouldn't be a secret. These should be stuff that, everybody knows about, and, little things that you can do in your Xero file that will take you literally from spending 2 hours a week doing your bookkeeping to potentially even half an hour. So there's so many time-saving options available in Xero that I wanted others to know about. So that's why I made some courses. Yeah, DIY. Yeah.
Wow. Wowzers in your trousers to bring you from 2 hours to half an hour. Goodness me, that's amazing. And it's, I guess it's talking to an expert like you who would really just using the platform all the time, that you're probably always looking for shortcuts. Like, it's got to be an easy way to do this, and finding those. Whereas perhaps small business owners who, bookkeeping is something they allocate some time to, and once it's done, it's done. And perhaps they wish that there was an easier way, but they actually haven't got the time to go out and investigate that. So that's really awesome. I love that. Yeah, it's great.
Definitely. And I think, just to touch on that a little bit further, that sometimes we just keep doing it. We get on these little treadmills in our business, and we just do it and do it and do it, week on week, month on month, year on year. And before you know it, like, I hate to say it, but like, people can actually transform these tasks. And sometimes they're the things that we hate doing. Like, if I wasn't a bookkeeper, I would probably hate logging into my Xero and doing my reconciling if I wasn't a bookkeeper. So for those that are out there that really don't enjoy that space, and a lot of people put it off and they'll wait until it's BAS time, or they'll wait until they get that email from their accountant asking for those things come end of year. So for anyone that puts it off, there are so many great shortcuts out there to save you so much time that you might actually end up finding yourself looking forward to doing it. You just never know.
Oh, come on, Kerry. I think that's pushing it. That sounds like the ultimate goal. That's exactly, I guess, what I do with marketing. I want people to love doing their marketing to the point where it's no longer a sometimes thing. It's I want to do it because I love it. So I guess it's no different with what you're trying to do with people's figures, is making them fall in love with their figures and making it simple superstar for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very good. Kerry, thank you so much for this chat. I think it's a real eye-opener for people to be sort of thinking about their finances, but also realizing that there is help out there, whether it's employing a bookkeeper like yourself or doing some courses that can really help them, I guess, expedite what needs to be done. At the end of the day, if we're in business, if we're earning money, at some stage we have to let the tax office know exactly what that is. That there's just no getting away with it, or there is getting away with it, but they'll catch up with you eventually, I guess, and then you get free meals and free board somewhere where we don't want to go. So
Definitely, yes.
So Kerry, if someone wants to get in contact with you or is interested to know a little bit more about your courses or something, how can people reach you?
Yeah, great. So in a few spaces, thanks to Jen, marketing has become more of a priority in my business. So you will find me on Instagram. It's zinc.business.solutions. And on Facebook, we have a Facebook page under Zinc Business Solutions. And we've also got the website, zincbusinesssolutions.com.au. So on most of the social channels there, you can certainly find us and reach out, have a chat, even if you're just curious about, whether it's time and whether you do need a bookkeeper in your business. I'm happy to chat to anyone and certainly start guiding them in the right direction for their business and their business finances.
Yeah, beautiful. And you've also got a podcast as well?
Oh, yes, I do. Yes, under another banner, because as you do when you're in small business, you can't help yourself, Jen. You know it too well yourself. Yes, I have a weekly podcast. It's called Biz Nation. So if you wanted to tune in and have a listen and get to know me a little bit more personally as well, you can hop over. I'm on all the normal channels, Apple and Spotify, Google, all of those. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. All right. So thank you so much again for coming and chatting with us just so candidly of what a bookkeeper can do for someone's business, but also what it could look like for them as well, and giving them some tips and tricks. So super thankful, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for having me on the show. Thanks so much. Chat
Pleasure.
soon.
I really hope that episode resonated with you. If you're not a lover of finances, it can be daunting and hard to get your head around, which is why we need Kerry's in the world, as I said. As mentioned, all her links are in the show notes at socialmediaandmarketing.com.au/101. But of course, Zinc Solutions and Kerry Zarb, they're fairly unique, so you probably won't have any trouble finding her anyway. But that is all for episode 101. If you've got any questions, please head into the Like-Minded Business Owners group and ask there. Or, of course, you can send me a DM on Instagram as well. I will be back next Thursday with another great episode to help you simplify your business in 2020. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I would love you to hit that subscribe button and maybe share this episode with another superstar business owner who's doing that daily grind and would really appreciate someone making their business life simpler. And of course, maybe make their financial business life a little bit simpler, as this episode had in it. Of course, if you can have some time, or if you can make some time to leave a rating and a review of this show, I would be so appreciative of that. Just make sure you leave your Instagram handle or something similar so I can give you a shout out on this podcast. But that's it. I'll see you next week for episode 102. In the meantime, let's hang out and get social on social. You'll find me at Instagram at Small Business Made Simple, on Facebook at Social Media and Marketing Australia, and of course, my favourite, LinkedIn at Jen Donovan. But whatever you do, my small business peeps, as my opening song says, there is no point in dreaming small.
Tell like I feel it, say it proud, be true, and let us see